Welcome to the Little Bit of Life podcast, the podcast that goes beyond the polished posts and into the heart of real stories. I'm your host, Tabitha, better known as Little on social media. Think you've seen it all, heard it all? Not quite. Here, we're diving into those unfiltered, real, and sometimes unexpected conversations that we all think about but rarely say out loud. Along the way, I'll be joined by special guests who have left a mark on my journey, adding fresh perspectives and unforgettable insights. So kick back, relax, and let this be your moment. You've earned it. Let's dive into today's story, one word, one revelation at a time. Hey everybody, welcome in. You have seen Love on the Spectrum on Netflix, and guess what? My favorite, Tanner, and his mom, Nicci, are with us today. Hey Tanner, how's it going?
Hey, it's going good, Tabitha. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to see you. I think you've done a few podcasts. You've done a few podcasts before, huh?
I have.
Well, we're going to dive right in with a few questions for Tanner, and then we'll let Tanner have a really nice evening on his own, and we're going to ask his mom a few questions after. So,
It's all you, Betty.
All right, Tanner, how did you feel about being filmed for the show?
I liked it a lot. I learned how to do things I didn't know how to do. I met lots of cool and unique people.
Neat. I think it would make me a little nervous, but you looked like a pro for sure.
Yeah, I did look like a pro, didn't I?
You did a great
I did a great job.
You did. So getting older and having your birthday plans, do you have any fears about getting older?
I used to, but not anymore. Because I thought at first, when I was younger, I thought things were going to change in a scary way. But now I know that now that getting older is a good thing, and I'm not worried about it anymore.
Amazing. Well, we love how excited you are on the show, and I think a lot of us are going to have a lot of things in common with you. We're talking music. What are your favorite artists right now? Who do you love?
Luke Combs and Morgan Wallen.
You like country, don't you?
I like country.
I live in Texas. I love country. Those are my two favorite
I'm
artists.
glad you love the good country, Tabitha.
Texas is all about country music.
I'm glad it is.
So cool. Yes.
Yeah. And we think it's amazing, especially on the show. You show that you have an amazing job and you work at the Shepherd. So what kind of job duties do you have? What do they make you do there?
I clean the bathrooms, I vacuum the mats, and I vacuum the stairs to the Tom's Bar. I wipe down the wood all the way up to the Tom's Bar. And I clean the third floor bathrooms, and I wipe down the windows, and I wipe down the brown parts outside the Shepherd's Hotel.
Mm-hmm. And what else do you do that's not really your job, but you do it so well anyway?
And you mean at the Shepherd's Hotel?
Yeah, like in the lobby. What do you do?
I greet people.
You greet people.
I love that. Do you have a lot of people that come in and notice you from the show?
I do.
They probably come just to see you. I know I would. If I'm in town at the Shepherd, I'm going right to see you for sure in person.
I know.
You've taken your picture a lot of times this last year. Happy.
Yes, I have, Mom.
And you went to college at Clemson. What was it like being away from home for the first time?
At first, I was homesick to some at first, but then I started to have fun.
And you had roommates? What was it like having roommates?
It was so fun to have roommates.
Tell Miss Tabitha, you had roommates that were also students.
Yeah.
But who was your third roommate, and what did that mean?
Blakely or Sam?
Well, Blakely and Sam were also students, but who was your other roommate?
Rome.
Well, tell Miss Tabitha about Rome. What was Rome, and why was he living with you?
Okay, so Rome was our third ILA because he was living with us, because he was our ILA. So ILA stands for Independent Living Assistant.
And what kinds of things did he teach you how to do? Why was Rome there living with you students?
Because he taught us how to live independently and keep our place, our apartment clean.
Mm-hmm. He was kind of like a what?
He was kind of like a big brother.
Kind of like a big brother, and a little bit about maybe safety.
A little bit about maybe safety.
Mm-hmm. It was very cool.
Mm-hmm.
What was your favorite part of your apartment?
We had lots of good food in there.
I bet.
And no mom to tell you not to eat it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you could eat whatever you wanted, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's so funny.
So what has changed for you the most since being on a show that so many are watching?
I've gotten so busy. And can I tell them a few more?
Yeah. Tell her everything she wants to know.
I've gotten more. What's that word starts to see, Mom? A good word that starts to see what you get when you're more busy.
Oh, have you got more confident?
I got more confident.
Confident? Yes. Yeah.
Uh,
What else has gotten much bigger? Your what?
my
Your social media.
my social media.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. I bet. Do you like social media? Do you like to post?
I do. Yes, I do like social media.
You do. You like to make the videos.
Yeah, I like to make the videos.
He likes to make. We have a good time. Tanner usually picks the music.
Yeah, I usually pick the music.
Like kind of like what we're gonna wear, what the theme or whatever. And you're very. He's gotten quite good at it.
Yeah, I've seen your social media videos. You do a great job. I
Yes,
love
I do a
the
great job.
music.
I do love the music.
And they're fun. You're
They are
working with
fun.
companies and you're just having fun. I
Yes, I
love
just
your
have fun.
It has
personality.
been really fun. We've met so many nice people through all those opportunities.
Yes, yeah.
You've learned a lot too, haven't you?
I have learned a lot, Mom.
You've had to work on memorizing
Uh-huh.
and like waiting and being ready to do something on cue. You've really done well.
Some.
It's been a really big, actually unexpected growing experience because it's a lot more work than people think. It's a lot harder than people think to actually pull it off. So it's been really neat to watch him. I'm amazed at what he's pulled off. So it's been really cool.
Do you feel like social media can be scary sometimes because it's new?
No.
Yeah.
Well, I'd love that.
You don't get scared by much, do you?
No, I don't. I don't get scared.
Really doesn't. Things don't bother you a lot.
No, things don't bother me a lot.
And I saw on the show you love animals.
Yes, I do love animals.
Loving the zoo. I used to go all the time, and I love your
I'm glad you used
excitement.
to go all the time.
What's
Tell
your
her
favorite?
part.
My favorite parts are seeing the gorillas at the zoo.
What else?
That's neat.
And other you mean at the zoo, Mom?
Yeah, like when you and Kate went to the zoo, like what was your favorite animals that you guys saw?
The orangutans.
The orangutans.
When I was growing up, my mom used to work in Ohio, and she used to work in the gorilla exhibit. So she would help them and feed the babies. They used to give them Gatorade in the summer when it got too hot.
Oh, can I ask you something?
Yeah,
Do they have gorillas in Ohio?
they do.
That's what she just said. She
The
said
baby ones?
her mom worked in the gorilla part of the zoo in Ohio.
That's so cool, Mom.
Her mom.
That's so cool. And you're saying they used to feed the baby gorillas Gatorade in the summer?
Yeah,
That's so
because
cool.
it
That's so cool.
got so hot. So they'd take Gatorade and they'll put it in the freezer, and then they make it like a slushy, and the
That's so
babies
cool. I
love
bet the big ones like that.
I bet that sounds good to me.
Yeah.
I know.
I bet that was cute. You would love to feed a baby gorilla a Gatorade.
I would, Mom.
Maybe you need to put that on your bucket list.
See, I will put that on my bucket list being one.
Well, you have a great experience with a gorilla. Tell Miss Tabitha.
Tabitha.
Yeah, you can tell her.
Tabitha.
Yeah.
One of the past days, me and my mom went into Colombia, and we went on a private gorilla tour with 3 of the zookeepers, India, Jane, and Tina, and we met one of the gorillas in person named Patrick.
We did.
Oh, wow. Was it a big one or a small one?
He was a big one. He's a big boy. Yeah.
He was the big king daddy of the zoo. Tell her some of the things that he did.
Okay, I'll tell you. He sat up on his ball, and we watched Jane feed. He likes lettuce, and he likes peanut butter, and he likes watermelon. We watched Jane feed Patrick his lettuce and his peanut butter and his watermelon, and he held his stick, and he got the peanut butter out of the bucket with his stick. And I'll tell you what else he did. He got his mouth open. Hey, Mom, when he had his mouth open, because what was Jane doing with him? When he had his mouth open?
I think she was just getting him to do certain things. Like she would say, stick your tongue out. Or and that's just like, he would follow her command.
He wasn't mad, though.
No.
I'll tell you what else he did. He did this. Because my mom told me when he does all that, that might be the way he might be trying to communicate to me.
Yeah.
And he made a grunting sound.
He did, but remember what they said about the grunting?
Well, yes.
That it meant he was what?
Happy. It meant he was happy. I know he never roared or growled.
He never roared. And he didn't beat his chest.
That's right.
No, he never got.
Yeah, I know Patrick. He likes us. We like him. I'm talking. He also did the spinning about being raspberries.
Yeah, blowing raspberries.
I thought he was farting and cheating.
I love that. It sounded like he was very happy, probably because you came to visit. They like visitors like that.
Hey, guess what? So I have a friend in Clemson. His name's Joe, and my friend Kate. I'm thinking of me and Joe and Kate going to in Columbia April 28th. And when we go, I know we'll go see Patrick and Dakota and Mo and Macy, the other gorillas.
You loved it, didn't you?
I sure do. Yeah, I hope India, Jane, and Tina will be there that day, April 28th.
That would be fun.
That's so neat. We hopefully maybe can watch your social media if you post about Patrick. I bet everyone would love to see.
Oh yes. Oh yes. It was.
Do that one day. A feed gorilla. Tabitha, I like do that one day.
Oh,
Feed a baby gorilla.
Tell her.
I like to feed a baby gorilla a Gatorade one day.
Maybe
Yeah.
put it out there in the atmosphere.
Maybe, I hope one day I'm in the 30s. Hey, Tabitha, I want to tell you something else. You and my mom something else. I hope I get to do it at the Zoo in Columbia one day if they have any baby gorillas there. And if India, Jane, and Tina are still working there at the time I'm in the 30s, if India, Jane, and Tina thought I knew what I was doing, I would love to feed one of the baby gorillas there if they have any more babies.
That would be
And then
fun.
I want to show the mommy gorilla and the daddy gorilla that they're taking good care of their baby, feeding it.
That's so
And
sweet.
if I was doing it to a boy one and a girl one, I'll give him and her back to the mommy and daddy gorilla.
Oh, that's so nice, buddy.
That's very nice.
And the mommy and daddy know that I care about their babies.
You do. You do.
And the Patrick knows we care about him.
Oh, we did. That for sure. He was cool. That was really cool. It was a crazy experience to be that close to
I
something
bet.
big. It was wild, you know.
I
Now-
think they have a gorilla rescue that you can name babies. That would
Oh,
be really
wow.
neat. You could
Yeah.
give them a name.
That would be cool. We might
Yeah.
need to look that up.
Yeah, right.
Yes, that would be so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so cool.
So Tanner, do you have a lot of things on your bucket list? Do you have things you want to do in life?
Yes.
Remember we made our 2025 bingo card?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Tell
I'll tell you. One is live by myself in Clemson with no roommate. And meet Jack Black. And do more traveling. And let's see. What was something? And go see Luke Combs.
Luke Combs was
Combs.
one. Mm-hmm.
Do you remember any more? Alex,
Was Luke Combs meet Jack Black is always the biggest dream you have.
and go. Wait, I think I remember another one. Go to Africa and to rescue gorillas.
Yeah.
Rescue gorillas. I remember.
Because you already rescued an elephant.
That's how I rescue gorillas.
Yeah. Now you want to rescue a gorilla. Yeah. Oh, and you wanted to go to Jamaica.
Yeah, Mom.
Yeah.
Mom, that'd be cool if I could walk. I like you to go with me to Africa. I think that's cool if we could walk with the gorillas.
That would be so cool.
Yeah,
Maybe it'll happen someday. You never know. Tanner, you will never surprise me with whatever
Yeah.
you do. You'll never shock me
That's like, Mom, I want to ask you both something. What do
Yeah.
you mean when you said I'll never surprise you?
because you have done so much more than what I ever thought was going to happen in your life.
Yeah.
Now when people say, what's Tanner up to now? I say, you never know.
Yeah.
Never know. We never know what he's going to do. He might do anything.
Oh, I want to tell you both something. If I get to go to Africa, I mean, you, Mom, when you went to save gorillas, I want to feed them. I want to feed them bananas and oranges and watermelon.
Tanner, do you know if we flew to Africa, it would be even longer than your flight to Thailand?
I didn't know that, Mom, but we
It would. It would.
Hey, Mom, and if I was feeding the gorillas bananas and watermelon and oranges, I'll give them it to them in their hands.
I know you would. Tell me about your trip to Thailand, how long that flight was.
How long would we say it was, Mom?
I think it was at least like close to 20 hours, wasn't it?
Yes, Mom. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There was 2 flights. They were both long.
Yeah.
You had like one like 13 and one 7,
Yes,
I
Mom.
think. Mm-hmm. But you did it, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
We did not know that Tanner was such an accomplished traveler. You know, he'd flown and he'd traveled. We had no idea what a competent traveler he is. He does not get plane sick. He doesn't really get jet lagged. He just,
Wow.
and he's very, very chill about it. We were like, because of course, he and the girls went to Thailand and they went with planting peace and rescued an elephant. And of course, I'm home, you know, like chewing my nails off. Like 3 of my 4 children are going to Thailand together. I'm freaking out, you know. And the girls kept texting me and they were like, oh my God. They're like, we're exhausted. He's totally chill. They were like, he's unaffected, totally fine. It's a strange adjustment. And that's one unexpected blessing of the show. Cause I was kind of getting to that point. Like Tanner had gained so much independence, was living in Clemson. And not to say that certainly I intervene or not that's maybe not, or I, you know, I attend to him and visit him more than I would probably a typical 26-year-old son. But I mean, he's up there. And with FaceTime and everything that we have, I would go sometimes 6 weeks, you know, and not necessarily be with him. So the show, it's been such a blessing because now that he has all this stuff going on, we're together like so much of the time. Right, Tanner?
Yes, Mom.
We say that's been one fun thing about the show
Yes, Mom.
because now we have all these different projects that we're doing
Yeah,
together.
that's right, Mom.
Yeah.
Hey, Mom, Dad, look, can I tell you something else, both?
Tell.
If I was if I could be a baby gorilla one day, I want to feed him and her their milk with bottles.
Like a bottle, like a baby.
Yeah, that reminds me why I held Maverick when he was a baby. Yeah, I fed Maverick his milk with his bottle.
Tell, she might not know who Maverick is.
So Maverick's my brother. He's my brother, Hey,
Oh.
I held Maverick when he was a baby, and he was a nugget. And yeah, I kissed him on the right side of his face and the left side of his face, and on his forehead and on his head.
Y'all were sweet brothers.
Aw.
A big brother.
I was a good
You
brother.
were good. And you're 7 years older, aren't you?
I'm 7 years older.
Mm-hmm. You were a good big brother. You took a lot of care of Maverick.
I did take a lot of care of Maverick.
He's always been sweet. Always been kind.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, you asked your mom why things you do don't surprise her. And I wanted to tell you, I'm in my late 30s, and seeing you date and have no fear made me feel comfortable to go date too, because it made me really nervous and scared of what to talk about.
That's so nice, Tabitha. Do you mean you don't have a husband?
No,
That's okay.
I'm dating. It's hard.
I know it is hard. It is hard.
Yep. You have to really think about like what you're going to say and acting nice, right? And tell Miss Tabitha, what have we been working on when we're having conversations with people?
I'll tell you, that we've been working on complimenting back and being good listeners, and then not giving them long lists of things what I like to do for fun, but I tell them because they can get overwhelming, and just only give them a couple.
Yeah, and then let them say something.
And let them say something.
And working on like conversation.
Yeah.
Back and forth, like you go, I go. You go, I go.
Yeah, I'm doing a good job with that.
Oh, the best.
Because I practiced it with my mom and sister Midge. And I'm glad we did. And now I'm doing good with that.
You're doing so good with it.
Yeah, I'm proud of myself.
Very kind. Mm-hmm.
It's scary when you talk to new people that are strangers, because sometimes you never know what to talk about.
Yeah.
And sometimes for me, it gets scary because you don't really know what they're going to ask you next. And that's hard when you're dating, because sometimes you don't know what to say.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you know what, Tanner? That's so cool because Miss Tabitha does not have autism.
I know you don't have autism.
It's the same for her.
That's right.
Just like we talk about. It doesn't matter whether you have autism or not.
That's right.
Relationships and conversation and even just regular friendships, they're hard.
And
No matter what. No matter what. Whether you have autism or not.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And it makes me nervous, but I got to see you on the show, and you were a little nervous, but you were excited. And so it made all of us know it's okay to be a little scared sometimes, but you can be excited too.
That's right, Mom.
You know,
that's right.
You know what else you did so well? I was so impressed because I was there for some of this filming, like, helping get ready or maybe giving him a ride to a certain location. But once filming starts, it's like, go. You know what I mean? Like there's no, unless you're supposed to be in the scene. So I didn't know until the show came out. Me and the rest of the family had not seen anything. We knew where he'd been filmed and who he'd been filmed with, but we didn't know what they got. And when I saw how much he took from his counseling with Jennifer Cook, remember when Miss Jennifer gave you all that good advice?
Yeah, Mom.
And on your very next date, you put it all into use.
Yes, Mom.
I was so impressed with that, Tanner, because I don't know if I would have done that well.
That's okay, Mom.
You did a great job of taking what Miss Jennifer told you and then turning around and doing it.
Yes, Mom.
You did a great job.
Yeah, and I love that your mom was there to help you and see what you were wearing and pick out your outfit. I think that's neat.
Yes,
you
Mom.
and your mom are best friends, and I love that.
That's right, Mom. We are best friends, Mom. My first best friend's named Haston.
Yep.
And Blake's my second best friend. David's my third best friend. Oh, and I'll tell you, my fifth best friend, Mr. Charles.
Oh.
Steve's so Steve is my fourth best friend, and Mr. Charles is my fifth best friend.
Nice.
Yes, Mom.
I
know Mr. Charles.
You have a lot of good friends.
And Mom, I got to see his phone number. Steve Charlotte, but to me,
you couldn't introduce me.
Mr. Charles I got Mr. Charles' phone number too.
That's awesome.
I love that. Well, we're going to ask also Tanner's mom some questions, because you also had some very interesting, but also some controversial filming that went on, because I think it's very important not only to be a parent of a child with autism, but explaining what that looks like and the bond and the struggles. And I think that we saw a few clips within the Netflix series. But during the show, you mentioned that you wanted Tanner to be different, but you didn't know kind of how to allow him to be himself until he was diagnosed. We often fear this as parents. I think there's this pressure of like perfection in our family and our kids and as parents. So how did you truly allow him to thrive and be himself? I think that's a really crucial moment that you talk about.
It was, and I think sometimes it gets taken a tiny bit out of context, because it wasn't so much I wanted him to be different as I wanted him to have a different path.
Yep.
I wanted things to be easier. I didn't want him to have to face whatever challenges, hurdles, hardships having a disability was going to bring into his life. And I was standing at the bottom of the mountain looking up knowing that the only way he's going to make it to the top is if we, as the parents, providers, make the right choices, guide him in the right way, provide the right environment, do the right research. And it was kind of a paralysis feeling at the beginning because, you have to remember when all this started becoming apparent, it was like 2002. And I mean, yes, there was internet, but it was not internet like we have today. And I knew one other child in our generalized local community that like had a known diagnosis of autism. And I will say his mom was an angel. She literally called me up and said, do this, don't do this. This is worth your time. This isn't blah, blah, blah. I knew nothing about autism. I'd heard the word. I like the movie Rain Man with Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise. That was, I graduated high school in 1990 and that movie came out in the 90s. That was literally when I thought autism, that's what I thought. Yeah. I had no idea the broadness of the spectrum. I had no idea the different ways it could manifest. And it was also, so in one year I'm hearing, okay, your child has this thing that nobody really can define, and we really don't know what to tell you to do. Not really. And you can't identify it in a blood test. You can't look at him. There's absolutely nothing that you can look at and say, there's the defining characteristic. But in my other ear, I have all these specialists saying, early intervention is paramount. If you don't get on it right now, it's not going to go well. Get on it, mom. Get on it, mom. And I'm like, I don't even know what it is. What am I supposed to? And then at that time, you have everything was sort of like in its exploratory phase. Everything was in its trial phase. And there were so many different thoughts. Some people at that time were like, you have to do the gluten-free, casein-free diet. You're a horrible mother if you don't do the gluten-free, casein-free diet. Some people were like, ABA is the answer. It's the best thing, applied behavioral analysis. It's the only way to help. Other people were like, ABA is horrible. It's mean. It's dog training. There were within the OT community, there was a lot of differences of thought. So here you are. I was at that time, I wasn't even 30 and I had 3 children by that time. So I'm under 30. I have 3 children and this is my precious only boy. Yeah. And I had no idea where to go. And I was I just remember this feeling of someone to take this away. I don't want this to be his life. I don't want this. I don't want this reality because I felt so inadequate. So honestly, I think for a long time, but I'm also very driven and I'm very stubborn and I'm very aggressive in some ways. I was not going to lay down and die though. So I just started. I just put my head down. I decided, okay, I feel I get the best feeling from that person. So I'm going with them. And if I'm wrong, but we're going to try. And another thing that I learned very quickly, and I would say this to any parent, mother gut is smarter than any doctor. If you think it and you're pretty convinced that this is what your child needs, you're right. 9.9 times out of 10. I don't really know that there were just several times where we had to make a call. Was it this therapy or that? Was it this school or that? Was it going to be trying this medication or not? And I can remember at one point, one of our specialists and not doing anything wrong, but wanting to put him on a a very powerful antipsychotic drug. And I laid awake at night for 3 nights and I looked at Mark and he had reasons and the dosage was low. And he was like, this is why, this is what it'll do. I looked at Mark and I said, I don't care. I said, no, I don't care who he is. I don't care how many degrees he has. I don't care how much of an expert he is. That's my child. And I have a bad feeling about that. And we're not doing it. And, I learned that very quickly that you have got to go with your gut. You have got to, sometimes you have to stand up to professionals. You have to tell them, no, that's my kid. No, we're not doing that. I don't agree. And that's hard, when you're young and you have all these people that, supposedly are more learned than you and have more credentials than you do. And they're looking at you and like you're crazy. But you have to just say no. And I think when we finally got to a point where I realized that we had a lot of victory. We had a lot of things where, Tanner definitely made progress and he has always blown my mind from the time he was little, how strong he is. Like Tanner can handle, you are too. Yeah. Tanner can handle a lot. He handled so much more in the first 10 years of his life than most kids do.
You did. They're all strong.
In the first 20, just therapies and interventions and people, doctor's appointments, OT appointments, speech appointments, and did it all and was still a pleasant, sweet little boy. But we got to about the middle schoolish years and it still became apparent that we were not where I had hoped we would be by that time. And that was with more interventions than I can probably even recall, hundreds of thousands of dollars, pretty much devoting our life to it. And it finally just hit me one day. This is not a fixable thing. This is who we are. And that's the difference. This is not something that you are ever going to find an answer to. This is something that you learn how to make it the best it can possibly be. And the quicker that you just say, okay, instead of like thinking that I am responsible for making it something different, let's celebrate it and just say, hey, this is who we are now. How can we kind of make it cool? And like when my mindset changed like that, and when I let go of like whatever guilt I was putting on myself, and when I let go of like a feeling of failure if we weren't hitting milestones or goals, and the failure wasn't in him, the failure was in loss. You know, everybody around you, your nephews, your nieces, your friends' children are hitting certain milestones and are doing certain things. It's a lonely life.
Yeah.
And there's no need to pretend that it's not, because it is. It's a lonelier life. And is it an easier life? No, it's harder. I have 3 typical children. I would tell anybody it is a much harder road. But the victories, when you get them, they take longer. But when you get them, they are so much higher than it's, you know, when your child with the special needs does hit a milestone, even if it's 5 years late, or does overcome something that's been very difficult, or does achieve this skill or this honor or whatever that you didn't think was possible, the high that you feel with that is almost indescribable. And then when you realize, you know, I had one psychologist tell me, and it was probably one of the most useful things I ever got told. It was a bad day. We'd gotten some bad test results. We had a lot of rough things right around this time. And he said to me, Nicci, he said, I want you to understand that developmental delays are just that. He said, they are delays. It does not mean that things will never happen. It means that you have got to throw your calendar and your time frame out the window and understand. It's like he said, it's like you're at the airport and your flight is delayed. He said, that plane is in the air and it's coming. He said, it's just not here yet. And what you have got to do is let go of your time frame and celebrate the little things as they come along and be willing to wait for that plane to land when it's ready. And then you can get on the plane. And when he said that to me, I was like, you're right. I'm very achievement oriented, productivity oriented. I'm sitting here thinking that we have to hit this timeline or we haven't done it right. And he said, you know, when you have developmental delays of this nature, he said, we're probably going to do, you know, 10-year-old things when we're 15. We're going to do 15-year-old things when we're 20, you know, that kind of thing. And he said, and that's fine, you know, and it was just it was such a simple way to explain it, but it really helped me. And I just also became very convicted about the energy that I was putting out. And it was all coming from a place of like, really kind of like wounded love. Like you never love anybody like you love your child. And God forbid something not go right for them, you know, because nothing hurts. I've always said, you know, Mark and I can fight. We'll work it out. I don't care if somebody talks about me, do something, that's fine. But don't hurt my children. You know, I mean, like, because that's a pain that you just can't fix it. And it hurts worse than anything else in the world. And I just remember thinking, though, you know,
I'm gonna get some water.
Oh, that's fine, baby. The energy that I'm putting off to him, he's going to absorb that. He's going to reflect it back to me. If I'm an anxious wreck, if I'm frustrated, if I'm unhappy at my core, what am I teaching him to be?
Yeah.
And I really, really, really made a concerted effort to work on that. And even like things like making sure I smiled every time he looked at me. You know what I mean? Just like look at him with a smile. And he needs a lot of pressure, still does, like tight hugs. Even when he was older, you know, most boys may not be hugging their moms at that age or their sisters, but he needed it. And it made such a difference. And then, like the doctor said, he proved me wrong. Things happened. It was just late. It was just a lot later. And different, looks different. And you also learn that different isn't bad. Different is just different. You know, it's not a bad thing. It's just different. And that there's just as much beauty in, were you thirsty?
I was thirsty, man.
there's just as much beauty in that road as there is in the typical road. And it's hard to let go of that typical road because it's what you always thought you would get. And it's how you envision, and it's what is safe too. It's a lot scarier to go down the special needs road because you don't know where your end game is going to be or your end point is going to be. You know, your typical child, you assume high school, college, job, marriage, grandchildren. You know, you sort of are, most people go through a predictable pattern. And this is not predictable. That was a long-winded way to answer your question. I hope that wasn't too much.
No, not at all. Tanner, did you ever, or still, do you feel different?
No, I don't feel different. Because I'm 26 now. Do you mean, did I feel 26, Tabitha?
I think she means because of having autism. Like, how does it ever, is it something that you think about, worry about?
No, I don't worry. It's a good thing.
It is a great thing. It's a great, it makes you very cool.
It's very cool.
It does.
I love that. What are signs or signals, Nicci, that you kind of first noticed or realized that made you think maybe there is something different?
Tanner.
Yes.
Okay. She just asked me what were the first things that I noticed that made me think maybe you had autism. And let's see if you remember these things. Okay. When Midge was a baby, really little, and when I was pregnant with her, do you remember how you would only wear the blue airplane shirt?
I do, Mom.
And the tractor shirt?
Yeah.
Remember you only wore 2 shirts?
Yeah.
Tell Miss Tabitha about those shirts.
Hey, I remember when I wore this airplane shirt and this tractor shirt.
Yeah. And would you cry if you couldn't have those shirts?
I could. Yeah, I would.
And it was sort of like you could tell it was almost like a physical pain if we couldn't wear it. It was like a safety thing. So I thought, And then I thought, oh, I'm pregnant.
2, 3.
You were very little. And I was like, maybe he's feeling worried about the new baby. Like there's some fear. So it's like, wear the shirt, whatever. Midge, yeah.
With Midge?
Midge was in my tummy when you were 2. Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out, let's see, how old I was when Midge. Let's see. So,
You were not quite 3 when she was born.
Right.
You were almost 3.
That's right. I was not quite 3 when I was born?
No, when she was born.
I gotcha. Hey, I assume I was 6 when Midge was 3, probably.
Yep, you were.
Because I'm 26 now, Midge 23.
That's right. And then there became, I noticed a lot of like by choice separating from groups of kids. Just like if we were we were involved in a lot of just like social things and play groups, church, nurseries, daycare. Well, not daycare, like preschool daycare. And like all the kids would be on the slides, go to the swings. Kids come over to the swings, go to the slides, and just appeared to have no desire to interact or, would parallel play, but wouldn't interactively play. And then that was like the next thing. And then it was just odd play habits. He had tons, my husband's a farmer, lots of little vehicle toys and stuff. He would have he had his cute little tractor set and this little airplane set. Instead of like making the noises and driving them through the dirt, all that, he would line them up and then he would pick it up, do this, look at it in the air. Do you remember when you did that with the tractors?
I do, Mom.
And then put it back down and do it with the next
toy tractors?
Remember the little teeny toy tractors?
Yeah,
you still like?
so cool.
And back then it was like DVDs and VHS. He would look at the covers of the cases like he was studying for his PhD. I mean, he would just stare at it with this extreme intense focus. And I was like, that's odd. He's 2.5, a little boy. Because, in other ways, very tough, good size, rough and tumble little boy. And I was like, wow, he's really concentrating on that for a long time. So it was just a bunch of small things. And then the stems came along. We started actually doing a lot of flapping, some odd head posturing, started craving pressure. But Tanner never lost speech. He could always talk. And that is normally the hallmark. And it really threw a lot of the diagnosing, of professionals at that time. It was tough. It took 2 years to get the diagnosis because he would come in and you were smart, weren't you?
Smart, yeah.
You could talk.
I could talk.
And, they were looking at that time. It was sort of like either you talk or you don't. You know what I mean? Like, and if you're talking, it must not be. And Lise and Connor from Love on the Spectrum, Lise went through the same thing because Connor never lost language either.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that we lost language, is that we did not progress in development of language. Had the words, wasn't always able to use them, didn't always understand what you were saying, even though he had the words at an age appropriate level. And then like conversational language was very slow to come, like just, like we didn't move on as quickly as typical from like the little 2 and 3 word phrases to a short sentence, to a longer sentence, to a 2-sentence exchange. that slowed down. So all those things kind of compiled. And I kept telling my pediatrician, something's off. I'm concerned. Something's off. But we're talking super physically healthy, good size, growing well. And normally that can be a hallmark too. Maybe some like a little bit of failure to thrive or feeding problems, gut issues, had none of them. And she's like, oh no, just a boy. He's a boy. Don't compare him to your girls. He's a boy. And I would come home and my husband would say, no, I'm sure, it's just a boy. And my older daughter's extremely precocious and talked very well and would talk for him a lot. And so why talk? Taylor will talk. So it was all those things. And then, but then when like the pacing and the flapping and all that set in, then it was like, okay, now we got something going on. So, but it was quite a process.
With autism and the spectrum, I think that we have come leaps and bounds, even from 10 years ago. A lot has changed, but I also think it shows, such as Love on the Spectrum, to show that it's different. I like that you say, like, he wasn't showing this, he wasn't showing this. It's not textbook like it used to be when it first came out.
And it is like, to me, it's the most, I don't know, like if I was a professional, if I would ever want to work with it because it's so ambiguous. And I mean, I feel like it's just this massive ocean and it's all legitimate. I mean, they're all every level spectrum, every level of the spectrum, however you want to call it, severity, high functioning, low functioning, it's all valid, but it's so different. And so many of them need a completely different approach than, person C than person D, and it's so overwhelming, to figure out each. And then I've been listening to the telepathy tapes and I'm like, whoa, I mean, and I think there's every reason to believe that a lot of that is 100% true. I think people are miraculous and you never know what's going on.
There's Mom, I heard the word miraculous on from one of the little movies, The Land for Time 7, The Stone Cold Fire. He won the dinosaur said it.
Did he really?
Yeah, one of the rainbow faces.
You said miraculous?
Yeah, I think it's either a boy or a girl.
What do you think miraculous means?
Let's think about that, what it means.
Well, it comes from the word miracle. And what's a miracle?
If I have my phone, I can look up and tell you.
But what do you think it is? I bet you know. Think hard.
Like something from heaven?
Yeah. And something that is what? That is
amazing. That's right.
Yes.
I like the word miracle.
Yeah, it's a nice word. It's a happy word.
I love miracles.
I would say you're a miracle.
I would say you're a miracle, Rob.
Oh, thank you. I would definitely say you're a miracle in a lot of ways, Betty.
Yes, right, Mom.
I really would.
Well, we know that Tanner going to school, you were excited, you were ready, you had roommates. Sounds like you got to eat some really good food that maybe Mom
I did.
say no
there
to.
is good food in Clemson and here.
Yeah.
And I think my big question for parents that are listening is, on the other side, Mom, what was the scariest part of having Tanner leave the house and go to school?
Well, and this, I think it's so important that parents hear this because, and I think this is changing and this is wonderful. I think it's changing. And honestly, I think it's changing a lot because of Love on the Spectrum and autism becoming such a more common word and people with autism having big social media accounts and putting their lives out there. So people are starting to realize that there are secondary education options. There are collegiate programs out there for people with disabilities, with life school programs and stuff. But when it happened, Tanner took a gap year after high school and worked. And he had 2 jobs that year. We worked a lot on just self-help and self-care and independence in the home. Your own laundry, prepare your own lunch, clean up your own dishes, working with the calendar, elapsed time, that kind of thing. But when he actually got in, I just remember thinking, I felt sick. I literally felt like I was going to throw up. I was like, there's just no way that I can let somebody else be in charge. Because I had been his lifeline for close to 20 years. He was 19 when he went. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to know what he wears that day. I'm not going to know what he eats for breakfast. I'm not going to know, that just it felt like somebody was taking my arm off my body. And I was like, I don't know if I can do it. And my husband was like, and if you don't do it, how are you going to feel? Like, if you don't give him the shot, how are you going to feel? And I was like, you're right. We have to give him the shot and we have to let him have the chance and try. And we did. And he did so exponentially much more and better than I ever thought he would. And this is the weird paradox of motherhood. And it makes me laugh, but it's so unfair. Like literally, I say this with not meaning to sound prideful at all, but I feel like moms are the reason kids make it. And moms are also what they need to get away from to take that next step. And it's so unfair. I'm like, they wouldn't be where they are without you. But there comes a point where it is very healthy to cut the tie. And I'll never forget, as we walked out, of course, we're like dragging our feet and finding every reason not to leave. After we got moved into the apartment, we have all kinds, they make a big event of it at Clemson Life. It's like a big weekend long thing. They know it's going to be hard. So the parents don't leave for like 2 days, and the kids are sleeping in the apartment, but mom and dad are at a hotel nearby. They sort of like, wean you off. And then it was finally time to actually go home. We lived 3 hours away. And we stopped in the faculty offices to the teachers just to say goodbye and thank you. And I remember one of them, she was so cute, so much younger than me. She put her hand on my arm and she was like, Nicci, she was like, go get in your car. We got it.
Aww.
And it was like the first time anybody in 20 years, even my husband, even his grandparents had ever said to me, I got him. You go take a minute. He's going to be fine. His needs will be met and he'll be challenged and it will be good. Let him go. And that was another humongous learning curve for me. As much as when that psychologist told me about the delays, like it was good for my marriage. It was good for the remaining children in the home, for the child with disabilities to go do what typical kids his age do and leave the family and go establish his own identity and go have experiences without the family and go do things without mom and dad intervening or directing. And it was just like, I realized how much of even our group family attention is focused on autism. And my kids did it totally unselfishly. And it was just our life. It was what we did, but it was healthy for everybody else and like, it just happened to coincide with my younger daughter's senior year and my younger son's 6th grade year, which are big years, and it was really healthy that they were able to get more of Mark's and I attention that year because Tanner was at Clemson Life, and at Clemson Life, they're not allowed to leave and come home and visit till they hit a certain level. It's very regimented. You can come see, but they discourage it for like the first month. They really would rather you not visit. You can. It's not like forbidden, but it's not encouraged. And you cannot take them to a hotel to spend the night. And it's tough love. It really is. But it was so good for all of us. And that was such a learning curve for me too. And I think helped me later in parenting after Clemson Life, because sometimes the best thing you can do for your young adult child is say, I don't know. What do you think? I'm not sure. Here's what I would do, or here's my advice, but figure it out. And you don't have to report back to me, because you're never going to take that next step until mom and dad pull back,
Yeah. I love that because you see that on the show. And Tanner, your mom asks you that a lot. What do you think? And I like that because
That's your mom.
and you make good choices.
You make good choices. About what?
About most everything in life. The way you live your daily life, you do a great job.
Yeah.
So it's just been so amazing to me, just to see, like when I go up and spend the night with him in his former apartment, I would stay actually at his apartment with him. And that alarm goes off. He gets up early for work. He doesn't hit snooze, feet hit the floor. He has a little routine that he follows, and he is out the door 20 minutes early every time. And just like a machine.
Oh, Tabla, can I tell you both something? I want to tell you, my mom, both something. Hey, Mom, I know I moved into Mitch's apartment and I have it all to myself. And I know Mitch, she's probably going to move to Greenville, and she's probably going to be sending Jackie's roommate.
Yeah.
Hey, remember that when she does, if she does work in the service hotel too at night, remember that part about her coming in? She explained to me about her coming up and sleeping up and know that.
She might come be your guest a couple nights.
That was so great, Mom. And I know when you come up and see me while I have my own apartment, you'll sleep in the other.
Yeah, I'll sleep in your guest bedroom.
That's right. Get up early at 6 o'clock. And when my alarm goes off, I'm going to guide you. Mitch will be in that other room.
Yep, we will.
Yeah, I'm glad too, because I'm comfortable sleeping in my own bed because I'd get up in peace some nights. So.
Tanner is wanting to try. He's always had a roommate. And he and all his buddies and my younger daughter, they live in a row of townhomes, kind of like an L. And Madeline is getting ready to move to a different town next year. And he wants to try moving into her now apartment when she leaves and try having his own total own apartment. That's like the next step. So, and his little buddy, like his roommate now will just be a few doors over. So it's not really like a big separation.
Right.
But it'll just be like cool to have like your own quiet space.
Right. That's right, Mom.
He says he's ready.
So
that's exciting.
It is. And it's a big step. It really is. It's a big step without the roommate to sort of bounce things off of and lean on a little bit.
What do you mean by that, Mom?
It means when you have a roommate, Tanner, if something goes wrong or if you have to make a decision, there's always another person there
Yeah.
But if you have your own apartment, it's like if something goes wrong, like with the faucet or something goes wrong with the toilet, who's going to have to take care of it?
Me.
And that means not that you always have to fix it, but you have to be the one to make the phone call.
That's right.
Right? Yeah, no, you can do it. Yeah. But that's what I meant by that.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
When you live on your own, Tanner, or with a roommate, do you like to cook? Are there things you like to cook?
Oh yeah, I did cook chicken nuggets and spaghetti, and I also like to cook salmon. And let's see, I like to make lasagna, and spaghetti.
Tanner loves to cook. He's a
I
good.
love to cook. And I'm gonna invite Miss Steve and David and Miss Charles to come eat dinner at my apartment.
You should cook
this
for them.
the summer.
You should.
And mom said that I want to make nachos and tacos and lasagna and spaghetti.
You got it. You got a plan.
Right.
Those are all my favorites. Do you like movie nights?
Like to do some days.
Yeah.
Do you like movie nights? Do you like to watch TV shows?
I do.
Tell her about you and Frankie with the movies.
So we watch movies together, but when I have my own apartment, I'm gonna watch my own movies and always go to bed at 10 o'clock.
He likes a certain bedtime. But you and Frankie have like your list, don't you?
We have our list, yeah.
Keep a list of movies they've watched and they mark it off. And yeah, Frankie has Down syndrome. That's his roommate. Yeah. So yeah, you guys have a big system with your movies. Don't you?
Yeah.
I like routine too. My bedtime is 10 o'clock. So's my dogs. They know at 10 o'clock, it's time to go to bed. And I like to go to bed.
So, Tabitha, I'm not a night owl because I like going to bed early at 10 o'clock because I don't like being tired during the day. I like being active during the day.
You're an active guy.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, we're all active. That's right. All people are active.
I think I also want to touch, especially on this, is employment. I think this is so important to have a job. Tanner, you love your job. You love what you do.
Yeah, I do.
I think my big question is more employers should be able to employ those on the spectrum. And I think that's something that we need to really bring to the forefront because they do an incredible job. They love structure. They love routine. And it just takes a little bit of time.
Absolutely. The Shepherd is the most amazing model of special needs employment. And sorry about that. That is, we're hoping, with the show about to come out. And of course, we never know like how things are going to go or what opportunities we're going to have. But if you get similar opportunities to last year, that is one thing we really want to do everything we can just to like put that thought in people's head and put that idea out there to any who haven't, ever given it a thought. Because what you just said, it is the most valuable, untapped resource that people, look at him. He's 26, strong.
Yeah, we're all strong.
Resilient, dependable, loyal, kind, patient, hardworking, all those things. And so many of his friends too. And everybody needs purpose. And families need to feel like their loved one has a satisfying, rewarding daily routine, So it's just such a win-win for everybody. And the other thing about it that, beyond all those obvious things, there's just like when you walk into the Shepherd and you almost just have to come visit, there is like an energy shift in people. I noticed like people that may not know what the mission of the Shepherd is and they're just in town, like, their kids visiting or they're there for an athletic event or whatever. They walk in and you see them look around and they like, they notice that a Down syndrome person is serving them and somebody with autism is vacuuming and somebody with Williams syndrome carried their bag. And there's this automatic like softening. And I think people unconsciously think, I need to be a little nicer. I need to be just a tiny bit more patient. Maybe I need to not be so picky if my coffee spoon isn't exact. You know what I mean? Like whatever. You almost see that. And really, they usually don't end up having a need to be patient because these guys do a great job. But, and just like, when you think about like, retention, because the average person is going to tend to get bored. It's going to tend to want to move on. It's going to tend to want to either get married and move. A woman may have children and decide she doesn't work full time, whatever. This population is going to stay there. It's going to stay there for a long time. Tanner, you said you're staying at the Shepherd till you're 44.
That's right, 44. Yeah, that's right. Okay, hey, so Tabitha, with all this money I have making at the Shepherd's Hotel, I'm going to save it. I'm going to move back home to St. Matthews, live in a house, and buy players till I'm 44.
Yeah,
I
love that.
I'll be Clifton until I'm 44.
Why 44? Tell her what's special about 44.
Because my mom will be 70 when I'm 44, and my dad will be 75 when I'm 44.
You don't want to wait too long to move home.
I don't want to wait too long to move home. And that 44 is a perfect age for me to do it.
A nice age.
And that's the age I'm going to retire at. Yeah. Oh, And don't worry, my mom and dad don't gift anybody. Just,
No, I plan to be very kicking when I'm 70.
I said, hey, you dad always will be mom, and you'll be able to lift weights, but lie what when you're.
Well, we don't know. You never know. I might still do it in my 80s.
Yeah,
You never know.
Hey, the place I live in Clemson is Lakeview, and I'm gonna move to this other place in Clemson, the Courtyard on Sloan, the August when I'm 30.
When you're 30, when you want to move?
And I want to bring the TV to down. We're gonna move into my old apartment to.
Tell us about that big TV. How big is that TV?
How big is it?
Huge.
It's huge. Yes, it's huge.
Why did you get that TV? What'd you do?
I forgot because we had to watch this pirate thing. Because I did ad for Sony.
He did an ad for Sony, and he got
Wow.
like a monstrous TV.
I got a monstrous TV.
And he's very excited.
I love that. I think it's amazing because I think so many of us that are listening and have watched the show, we gravitate because, Tanner, you're teaching us to slow down and to enjoy life because you see things in such a beautiful way that we seem to be too busy. We make schedules and excuses. And I love watching the show with you and everyone on there, but specifically you, Tanner. I mean, I can't say I have favorites, but I think I just said Tanner's my favorite.
Okay, we'll take it.
Yeah, we'll take it.
But the love of just the simple things in life, I think, has really shown us that we're never too busy to take a moment just to be. But it's also amazing, I think, as a parent, because you're showing you don't have to have all the answers because your child will not have all the answers. And you're learning together as you go. It's this beautiful dance that I see between you, even you two now. And I have to say from someone that's so close with my mom and my best friend, I absolutely commend you and think you're an incredible mother because you give him choices, you give him options, and you allow him to learn through the process. And I think that has to be fearful as well because you want your child to be successful.
You do. And it's, and I always say, like, I've learned more from him than I could have ever taught him. And like, it's just made us all and the podcast that Lisa and I just started, we did, we've already recorded several episodes, and we did one episode with the brothers because Tanner has one and Connor has two brothers. And then we did an episode with the sisters. Tanner has two sisters. Connor has one. And hearing those young adult children talk about the experience of growing up as a special needs sibling and how it impacted them and who they are now. They're all 19 to 28 is the age span. And oh my gosh, talk about like a full circle moment. And we all said, and it was so funny because Connor's family said it and ours, who would we even be? Like, we were like, would we be nice? I don't know. Like, would we be good people? I don't know. Because this is like defined us. It is like defined who we are. And, I feel like has made the 6 other siblings, 6 total, their family and ours, just incredible people. And I think they're all going to be unbelievably great parents because of what they've done as siblings. And they all sort of have like this little bit of a sixth sense and this little bit softer heart and a little bit finer character because of what they have supported and done and seen and realized at a much younger age than the average person does.
Yeah.
And it was such a cool thing to hear them talk about it because Lisa and I went into it like totally just had a list of questions. No, right. We're like, don't try to butter us up. Don't make us, we're not here to make us feel good. We're not asking for accolades. But to hear them talk about it was like, oh my God, like it really shaped who you are. And that's the other part when you're the young mom wanting a different path and you're the young mom wishing you could take this away. And it's hard. I would never say that bluntly to a young mom because they're not ready. They're not ready to hear it. Yeah. And they shouldn't be. And I don't think they should be. You need time through your journey. But someday you'll wake up and realize this was what was always supposed to be. And that it has given us so many blessings that I could never have imagined this when I was 33, when I was 37, when I was, if you would have told me the things that this would have brought about, I would have laughed you out of the room. I would have been like, no, it's always going to be hard. It's always going to be one hard decision after another. It's always going to be something that I'm concerned about, something that I'm worrying about. And it's not. It's not anymore. It took a long time, but it's not.
Well, we love this show. This episode is going to be airing right when the new season's coming out. So I know y'all are going to be rushing to go watch and binge it. Trust me, I'm going to be the very first one too.
Oh, and I think there's a couple new cast members that are also extremely interesting and so cute and have amazing stories. So they're going to be just as much fun to watch as Tanner and Connor were last year.
I'm so excited. Well, I have to thank you and Tanner for coming on. I think that...
Yes, I'm so glad we finally got it together.
I know. I think it's amazing. You're showing not only Tanner's viewpoint through the lens, but I think it's important to show the parents as well, because like we said, you have these expectations that turn into reality, that turn into a new reality that you probably never dreamed. And I think it's a beautiful thing because you're standing behind. They can do anything and everything as long as you give them the option and the chance to try. And I think what you're doing is beautiful. And I just adore you guys. I think your dynamic is so beautiful. And I love you guys.
I'm just excited. I'm excited to see like what this season is going to bring. And like we met, the other thing that was so like just almost like eerie last year, everywhere we went and like every opportunity, whether it was like we were on News Nation for an interview, we were on, this podcast, whatever, almost without fail, somebody that was involved in the process of either interviewing us or getting us the questions or the makeup person or the whatever had a connection to autism. Every one of them. It was so crazy. Like the producer and it was a little teeny segment on News Nation, just like a quick little blip. But the producer that had to call us and get our background and do all that check and, do the questions and everything, she was like, oh, I just want to tell you that my nephew just got diagnosed and we've been so sad and we've been so upset and we didn't know what to do. And then we watched the show and we watched you. And I was like, and you happen to get assigned to us? It's just like, and that kept happening. It kept happening like all year long. And it made me think because sometimes you stop and think, oh gosh, social media, should we be on it? It can be a scary place. It can be negative. And like, should we pull him off? And like, is this not what we should, but then something like that would happen. And I'd be like, no, there's greater purpose. You have to take the chances for the good to happen, you know? So it's cool.
Well, we're going to close this podcast with one question for Tanner, which is, what was your favorite part of filming the show?
Me go on the date with Kate.
Which
one?
At the restaurant in Greenville.
You like the bistro?
Yeah, I think bistro.
When you guys went on that date?
I do, Ma.
The umbrella day?
Yeah, I do, Ma.
I love that. Well, Tanner, thank you for being brave.
You're welcome.
Being on the show, because you're making people like me not feel scared to date or ask questions.
Yeah.
And I think, as our word of this podcast will be, I think you're miraculous. I think you're an amazing young man.
You are.
Yes, I am, Mom.
You are. Thank you so much for having us. It was great to finally meet you.
Yes. Thank you for coming on. And guys, make sure you head on over. Love on the Spectrum. The new season's out. New cast members, new friends, new storylines. And yes, Tanner is going to be there. Miraculous.
Yes, I am.
And proud.
Thank you.
That's a wrap on today's episode. I hope you enjoyed our time together, and I want to thank you for sharing it with me and the guest. A huge thank you as well to our guests as well as possible sponsors, because we're stronger together, louder as one, and truly connected like a family. If you loved today's episode, please leave a review. Help bring others along for the journey with us. And don't forget to tune in on your favorite streaming platform every week. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, Little Bit of Life Podcast, so you can be part of the action and, yes, part of the interview with our video content. Thank you again for joining me, and I would love to have you come on as a guest. If you're interested, send me a message. Until next time, remember, be good to others, be good to you. See you next time.